No,
Podcasting now, so, okay. So welcome everyone. Let's start our city council work session for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. Main topic for today is ever riveting topics. We always have riveting, exciting topics. Today is solid waste.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. So this evening we'll talk about the annual update of solid waste and recycling. We have Chris Bell on the line. Kristen's here from Pride at the end. I'd like Kristen to talk about the Recycling Plus program. And her back in probably March about this, so I'd like her to talk a little bit about that. So really that's the materials it's going to recycle. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Is it okay? And I'm sure Brad's listening. So I just go ahead and share the screen then, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not Brad, but we're telling you, yeah.
Okay.
We got Zach.
And I'm hoping that is the entire, you guys can see this okay?
Yeah, the presentation hasn't started, whatever, but you're.
Okay. You see the slide. Wonderful. Well, again, this year, thank you for letting me assist the city with this project. I greatly appreciate it, and I also greatly appreciate working with Kristen and Eric from Pride, and as always, they've been a tremendous help and a very successful program with the city of Sherwood. Tonight, in addition to just the regular rate adjustments, there's a change to a program or an addition to a program, and we need your input from on what direction to take with this. So rates last time were changed in January this year. And if you recall, the rate increase varied from 3.3 to 4.7. And that was primarily due to the increase associated with the tipping fee from Metro. And to refresh your memory, Metro has come out and said over the next 4 years, they're anticipating around just a little over a 7% increase annually with their tipping fee. And so that means for most jurisdictions within the Portland metropolitan area, there may be some rate pressure annually. Container rates were adjusted a little bit by 2.15%, and the drop box was increased by $3 per haul. And on drop box service, the cost of disposal is direct pass through to the ratepayer. So the increase was just on the haul cost. And again, depending on what material is collected and where it's taken to for disposal, that cost per ton will vary. The results that Pride submitted for 2021 came in just a little under 12%. Recall that the optimal range for collection operations within the city is from 8 to 12%. And in this case, they came in at just under 12%. And some of you may be thinking, wow, that's fantastic. Well, there's some caveats we got to throw in with these rate, with the high rate of return. And that is, some of the costs that were anticipated for 2021, such as truck and container replacements, were delayed due to logistical problems. And so Pride was hoping to get a lot of that equipment that was supposed to be delivered in 2020 and 2021 this year. And Kristen can speak to that in a little while, whether that is happening or occurring. So that was one of the primary reasons for that adjustment, or for that increase, the unexpected increase in the rate of return.
So Chris, quick question.
Yeah.
So under that Oregon statute, when we look at this to gauge profitability within the range and then adjust rates, is that we look at the previous year, or do we look at a forecast?
Well, we look at a forecast in this case, because what happened in 2021. Again, we're almost to 2023, and in that time frame, a significant amount has happened.
I'm saying, what does the statute say?
Oh, there is. Well, your statute doesn't say that. It doesn't retroactive adjust rates backward for a range. So if you're within that range, that 8 to 12%, that's considered optimal. In this case, they just happen to be on the top part of that range. Anything over 12% usually requires a rate adjustment down.
I apologize, Chris, I don't think I'm being clear. When we look at that to analyze whether we need to adjust the rates or not, does the statute say we look at the previous year, or does the statute say we look at a forecast for the upcoming year?
Oh, the statute, your statute says look at the previous year.
That's what I was trying to remind myself.
And if I could just clarify too, part of why this report includes projections is because it's not just a standard year, we're also proposing a new program.
Right,
So if it weren't for that, then we would just apply the CPI to the rate of return, which is what the code calls for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I apologize, Tim. I wasn't sure where didn't completely understand the question. So while we're looking at rates, we're looking at, adjusting them forward. Again, as Chris was saying, we're looking at a new program. We're also looking at changes that were pretty significant this year. And one of them being, this was a new contract year, unfortunately, for Pride and a lot of the haulers, in regard to setting a rate. In this case, the wages increased by 6.25%. And in addition, Kristen, remind me, do you guys also there was kind of a bonus also that was anticipated or paid out this year?
No, we didn't have any bonuses in the contract.
Okay. There was a couple, I know there was one there was a payout, in the contract, yeah. But anyway, the increase in driver wages is 6.25% for this year, and it's going to decrease down to just under 3% in 2023. Health insurance this year has remained the same for drivers for quite some time. Administration is anticipated to increase by 7.5%. As we talked about, disposal fees are 7.6% increase in 2022. And we're looking at just under 6% in 2023, and that is primarily due to Metro's increase. Fuel was 15% in 2022, and we're anticipating 10% in 2023. The reason it's not, double digits is that Pride uses compressed natural gas for their primary fuel. So that's been good. However, there has been an increase in natural gas. Inflation, we have 3%. When we did this, 3% seems like a pretty low number considering we're looking around 6% over the last 6 months. And in recycling processing, in the end of 2021, the markets picked up significantly. And in some cases, some haulers are getting paid towards the end of 2021. Well, that has changed and the market has softened up, and recycling processing costs compared to 2021 have increased around 52%. So and then taking all of those those adjustments in consideration, the projected rates for 2023 are kind of abysmal. So we're looking, we went from 12% to just under 7% for the composite, and the different lines of business, cart and drop box requiring a little bit more attention than container. So to bring that estimated rate of return up to 10% to recalibrate, we're looking at around a 3.5% increase for roll cart service. We're looking at a drop box haul fee increase around $5 to $7, depending on whether it's an open top or a drop box. Rental in box increase up to rounded it up to the nearest next dollar.
What percentage is this?
For the drop box?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. I didn't calculate that on. It's what?
Yeah, I mean, basically looking at what I saw in the slide about previous year, like the cart and containers were subsidizing drop boxes. So to me, it feels like we should go heavier on the drop box increase, and buffer the other.
Can you back up a slide?
Yes.
To this one right here?
Yeah,
Or to,
that one.
okay. So when I recalibrated this, I looked at it each line of business to return a 10% return, a margin.
So. go
So
ahead.
if we look back,
So this doesn't include other fees? And the month, the average homeowner, that's not what the average homeowner is paying.
So if you go down one slide, Chris,
yes,
so the current rate, these are the 4 different sizes of garbage carts that a residential customer could have. So that second column shows that, and then the 4th column shows the proposed new rate for those 4 different sizes.
Yeah, I think that's.
But most
That's not-
residential
again-
customers are billed every other month. So your bill, you might get like a $60 bill, but you're only paying it every other month.
Thank you for that reminder,
Yes.
I appreciate
So
that.
this is 55 over 2 months.
That is a common question we get from customers. You quoted me this, why am I paying this? Yeah.
You're like, I haven't seen that.
So,
I go, there's
You-
part of that bill that's missing. Awesome, okay, thank you, Kristen.
so Chris, this is Tim.
Yes.
You mentioned at the beginning that there were some capital costs that didn't happen last year. And so I'm assuming it's part of this forecast.
correct.
So what would have and we were at 12% last year, what would have the rate been last year if those capital costs had come in? Because I'm concerned that if we push it all into this year, we're artificially inflating last year and we're undermining this year. It seems like it needs to be leveled out a little bit. Does that make sense?
It does. I haven't calculated that. You know, I can get you that information if you want that.
Yeah, that'd be useful to know. 'Cause I know those trucks aren't cheap.
No, and the cost of them has increased quite dramatically in the last couple of years. I would also say that I totally hear what you're saying. While the supply chain issues continue to be disrupted, it might be better to kind of wait until that levels out, because we're continuing, like trucks we were supposed to get in October of this year are now being pushed into 2023. And so it's like everything keeps getting pushed back, so I'm not sure what the best way is to handle that, to be honest, and if this is just the new normal, and it will take 12 to 15 months to get a truck instead of 9 months.
And it may be the new normal, but that we still didn't have this 1 year where it's artificially high.
Right,
Where if it had come in, I wouldn't, not saying they would have leveled out,
right.
but it would have been a little different. I think it'd be useful for us to know what that looks like.
One thing I would love to see on this chart for the future, and I'm not saying for this year, but next year when we have this conversation is, what is the fully loaded cost? Like, or forget salary, but like, okay, the cost of the driver picking up the cart as well as the dumping of that many gallons, right? Because to me, every time I look at this, I feel like we're not really incentivizing people to use less guys. You know, you're paying 40% more for 500% more capacity if you go from the smallest to the largest. So I'd love to, I know there's a fixed fee associated with just, you know, having the truck come by and pick up the car, but there's also a dumpage fee associated with 20 gallons versus 95 gallons. I'd love to see that blended and say, okay, we're charging $28.45, our cost, you know, to.
Oh, yeah.
Is $22 or whatever it is. And then what's the margin on a 20-gallon one versus a 95-gallon?
Okay, yeah.
Next year.
Yeah,
Is that a reasonable thing?
Oh,
to look at?
I could calculate myself if I had the data. So
Yeah, no, we actually do that. So we do that every year. And I have that, I can put that on there. But yes, there is, and when we set the rates last year, you can tell that there's a little bit of additional margin between the 35 and the 65, because the delta between the two, if you look at the cost of service, it's going to be a composition of two things. It's going to be the disposal, the difference between the 35 and the 65. And it's also going to be the size of the roll cart for the 35 and the 65. Recycling is set, you know, it's the same. Everybody gets the same cart, and same with yard debris. So the real difference is at 65 versus 95, and then the 95 versus, or excuse me, 65, 35, and the difference between those two. But it's not, it's about a $3 delta between the 35 and the 65, and about another $2 delta between the 65 and 95. Because even though you have a 95-gallon cart, the weight associated with that is not uniform to the 95-gallon cart.
Chris, do you have an estimate on what percentage of the total fee a customer pays is actually attributed to disposal?
Yes, I do.
Sorry, I don't want to derail this conversation. I know we have limited time. This is
For next-
just for next year.
Next
Let's
year.
move on.
So one more question before we move on.
Yes.
Do you have any data that shows, I mean, I know at the beginning you showed where the increases are coming from metro tipping fees, benefits, new labor costs.
Yep.
But do you have anything that shows how that affects these rates? Like on a percentage basis, you know, where are we getting hit the hardest? Like if it's metro tipping fees, I want to know that because I want to be beating up our metro counselors. on this.
Yeah.
So it would be really good to get a chart that shows where what's the big impacts, you know, what's small, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, I can, in fact, well, part of it's in the rate report that I submitted to the city. So there is, you can see that difference between, you know, the
Right, so no one at this table other than Craig and Kristen has seen that report. Just clarity.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get it.
this is the first time we're seeing.
You'll get it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at our ordinance saying that we're supposed to get something April 15th, something's supposed to be presented to us. Did we do that in April, according to our
So it
ordinance?
gets submitted to the city manager.
Yeah, by March
When you go
15th.
through this process, you get this usually April, or August, September. The report gets submitted to the city manager.
Yeah,
In March or April.
March 15th, and then the city manager shall report to council by April 15th. I'm thinking we skipped that step. Did we?
I think we're just. Okay, so that's this step.
Just making sure, I'm like, did we do something in April? I don't remember.
No.
Okay.
So,
Because I wasn't here for last year's, when we did the increase last year, I assume we were planning for these capital improvements, or, you know, new trucks and all that stuff. So is that money still in an account somewhere, and is that being factored into this?
the account, for the new capital?
Correct.
I mean, I know that we have a 12%, you know, margin here, but I'm wondering, and I know that'll come down, but is the money sitting somewhere while we're waiting to buy those trucks, while we're waiting for supply line issues or all this other stuff? We have the money somewhere.
We don't.
We
That's
don't.
not, none of this is.
We, I mean, the Pride, right? Pride has the money, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I get your question though. If we raise the rates anticipating they were buying new capital, and we're gonna raise them even more now.
Yeah, I just don't want to be double counting here.
Yeah.
That's the law, the way the law works. They're spending the money and they stayed underneath they stayed in the window of return.
But did they? Because they were over 12%.
No, they're not.
They're just under.
Oh, I thought it was a little bit over. Okay.
One bucket was positive, 3 buckets.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
So let's keep moving.
okay, I think we left off.
This today, but we'll at least be introduced.
So those are the proposed rates between the residential, commercial, and Dropbox. That's the one question. And then the other question that we have for you tonight is, there is a food waste collection program that is going to be implemented starting, or actually mandatory, in March of next year. And for companies, or excuse me, businesses that generate over 1,000 pounds of garbage and also generate food, they have to participate in this program. And Metro has laid this out. There are actually 4 groups, but 3 of them are mandated at certain times to receive service. The first one being Group 1, and that's businesses that generate over 1,000 pounds of garbage and also food waste. And the second group is 500 pounds of garbage per week. And then the third group is 250 pounds of garbage. And then the low food waste generators are not required to participate, but they can choose to participate under the Group 4 program requirements when it comes to in effect. So there are 3 choices that the city can make in regard to the collection rate for food waste. And the first one is setting at the cost of service. And currently that is what Pride is doing right now. There are some companies that wanted service and are willing to pay for that service. And so Pride is providing them with that service. The second alternative is subsidized to some degree, whether it's 5%, 10%, 50%. And for this exercise, I assume this 50% subsidization. And then the third one is a bundled, which means spreading the cost of the food waste collection program out to all the commercial.
Right, so we,
No way.
It's one, it's
So-
one.
Greg, Taylor, what's your, of the three options, what do you like? I like number one.
Yeah, I think cost,
One.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cost is. though.
It's two.
Yeah, all right, so we all like number one.
Oh, cool.
I
Okay.
guess. Who was that?
We're going to show you some more information to make sure that you guys have all the information necessary. So those are the three alternatives, right?
Right?
Okay, so for the first group, these are the current participants, and right now, these businesses are spending $984.62 per month. The biggest one being Walmart, and they are a significant food waste generator, and they are paying a significant amount for food waste diversion.
Right,
They can afford it.
There are actually 5 other food waste generators have been identified by Washington County. And of those, Safeway's already doing a backhaul. So they've been doing that process for quite some time. So they would be covered under this program. So you're looking at 4 additional food waste generators, and they would probably pay approximately $76 a month
great.
when the program goes into effect.
Next, Chris?
All right. The next one is a food waste subsidization.
Don't even
You're not interested in it, Chris.
Okay. And then the third one is a fully subsidized bundled rate.
Now skip it.
Nope. Okay. You guys are easy. So those are the three alternatives. And so at this point, you've pretty much made your decision on the food waste, which means, the current you utilize the current program in place that Pride has. The questions that Tim brought up, I can address them and send you guys the information. And on the collection rates, depending on where you want to go, determines what our next steps will be.
So.
So Chris, you didn't touch on it, but am I correct that the projection for 2023 and the proposed residential rates includes adding food to the yard debris service?
That is correct. Yes, I apologize. That yes. And
It would provide the opportunity for residential customers to compost their food scraps with their yard cart for anybody that utilizes yard debris. So
They just do that? If they're just thrown in?
currently that material goes to facilities to process food scraps, so there should not be food in it. It should just be lawn clippings, leaves, weeds, things like this. So there's a slightly additional higher cost to process it with food in it at the facility. So that additional cost is built into that residential rate increase that is proposed
And
here.
then for those of us who don't put food scraps in, we're gonna pay that.
Correct.
So we
So you
can,
can't segment it, it's
No,
all in
it's
one place.
it's all in the same
Gotcha.
And we don't get to choose, it's just happens.
Yes or no?
Council.
It's yes or no?
We can do, the whole city can either start that program or not start that.
Yes.
program. And what's it cost per house or per car?
it would be the residential rate increase, part of that.
Obviously, it's built in it.
So Chris, there's interest in knowing what the additional cost is for adding food scraps to residential yard debris pickups.
It's great, by the way.
are there any other add-ons that are in here that we don't know about?
no, that's the
And then I know that we're out of time, but there is an additional Recycle Plus program that we would also like to propose that would be a complete optional for anybody who would like to opt into the service. Pay extra to have hard recycle items picked up. I'm happy to come back and talk about that at a different time. If we don't have time today.
That'd be awesome.
If it,
Yeah.
yeah, love to hear
Yeah,
more
just
about it.
in here.
We're gonna need another work session.
Yeah.
So.
I just
Yeah.
would reiterate my comment from earlier, based on what I saw from the first slide about actuals. you know, our cart and container service was subsidizing the drop box service. So I'd like to see us increase drop box service more and maybe decrease the cart in a corresponding way, or at least we'll see what's going on.
You know, the one of the,
Those are not required. Like, nobody has to get a drop box, right? So I'd rather, I
Well-
want to see them
Is that
subsidized.
you mean when I have orders
It's
in
like,
my house?
yeah, that's like if you have someone like,
Yeah, okay.
the fact that those are the lowest margin, that should be the highest margin.
My
In my
only caution with that is that that service is very inconsistent and economy driven. So if you're, it should stand on its own, I totally agree. But using that service to subsidize other services, it does.
I'm not saying it should subsidize other services, but it should be the highest margin on the lowest margin. In my
Or at
opinion.
least a fair margin.
Is there in your world, could Doug get a Dropbox outside a non-private school Dropbox?
Unless it was a, like a scrap metal box where you're being paid for the value of the material and not actually paying anything to have the service.
That's it, that's your news.
Right. Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
you bet.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Craig. So we'll circle back, do a follow-up, next month.
Yep.
Second meeting next month. And,
So we have to approve it 6 days in advance for January 1, right?
how far in advance do you need to know?
We typically send out letters about a month in advance of, effective date, so we would need to hopefully know by mid-November.
That works.
Can we get an hour for this next session? I think 30 minutes.
Yep. Oh, I think 30 minutes.
It would have been, we could have been an hour for the whole thing.
45.
That was my fault. I said 30 minutes because I didn't think there was gonna be.
You never know with us, do you, Craig?
I just want to ask one question. So I can do that workup for you, Tim, where you're asking for the difference in the margin on cost. I can do that for you and send that to you. I can email that to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, if we get the slides ahead of time, if we could get that report, that would be great.
Well, I'm happy to send that.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So we have one other quick thing to chat about. So we're going to appoint a counselor at our next meeting. And so we've noticed that, and we'll decide in 2 weeks. With OD, that's most likely the person, start talking.
And say we chat with him to let him know that's.
So anyways, we'll do that in 2 weeks.
Okay.
One of the people can still apply. Okay, but we have our complete discretion on what we do within the applications we get by law.
So did we put notice out for people can apply?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
So the deadline is the day before your decision making.
okay. Okay,
I don't think there'll be too many people interested in it.
right.
We know there's another candidate that's gonna be in the decision.
With that, we're adjourned, work session, we'll go to city council